Hey everyone. So my speech is going to consist of responses to her proposal to strengthen the Animal Welfare Act, followed by her three on-case points that I got out of her speech. So for the Animal Welfare Act, she says, or it's being solved by other things in the status quo actually right now, like the Public Health Services policy on humane care and use of laboratory animals actually applies to rats, mice, and birds, and institutions who are getting government grants for research have to follow it. So it's already being solved. And she doesn't say how it's incompatible with banning animal testing, so why not just do both? The negative has the burden to prove why it's a competing idea, or it's not a reason to reject the plan. With no real offense coming from the rest of her speech, you have to, if there's a risk that the plan would actually solve at all, you would have to vote F now for any like small increase. Um, and banning animal testing can solve because for what she outlines, because no animals would be hurt in the laboratory, which seems like the reason that the act was created in the first place. So it has all the benefits of the act. But what it doesn't have is under the Strengthening Animal like Welfare Act, it would still have testing on animals, and so all the harms that I outlined in my last speech to humans would still apply. So now on case. So she said that there's many forms that don't harm animals, but that's I have 4 points on this. The first one is it's a human standard of what's harmful, and we impose it on them to justify this kind of like ontological violence. And my second point is just because some aren't harmed doesn't mean that we forget about the ones that are, and even that the animals who are not have non-invasive testing still ultimately have to be killed. And my third point is even if it doesn't cause physical pain, it decreases the animal's value to life because they're locked up in a cage all day. They didn't ask if they wanted like cream to put on it. Maybe like measuring brainwaves hurts their head. And we should reject the idea that just because it's not physically invasive, it's not damaging to the animal. Okay, and now my fourth point is it's this kind of mentality that we can dominate them just because they look differently than us, and then justify it by saying, oh, it's not that bad, that leads to the kind of domination that manifests itself within the human community across cultural lines with things like genocide and colonization. If in the Holocaust, Hitler was like, "Oh, we're just keeping these people here to breed them, and then we can to get more subjects, and then have non-invasive testing." We wouldn't be okay with that. So then, why are we okay with this? It's because we see them as the other, and they look differently than us, so we can say that this is okay. The genocide is happening now within the animal community, and it needs to stop. And so then she goes on to say, there are alternatives to animal testing, so I don't think we should ban animal testing. I don't really think this makes sense. And I think it's like we should embrace the alternatives by banning animal testing. It would force the community to find more alternatives. And she says animal testing has a high success rate, but she says there's no cure for diabetes yet. And if animals have rights, then let's give them to them. The problem with her argument is that she values humans over animals. And this type of anthropocentric mindset is exactly what I'm critiquing with my positive matter from the last speech. It's wrong to make thousands of animals suffer and be killed to cure hundreds of humans. It's wrong to even make one animal suffer for one human. She needs to justify why a human life should come at an animal's expense. And this is why, for all these reasons, I'm proud to propose.